My new book, The Slow Cook, is all about slowing down in the kitchen and appreciating all those gorgeous wintry dishes, just like slow cooked lamb. And this particular recipe is an absolute ripper. So I've got a beautiful piece of lamb shoulder here. I've left the fat and skin on the top, and I've got the center bone in it. I always find when you're going to slow cook a lamb shoulder, leaving that center bone in is just going to keep it really tender. And if you do have the lamb shank, by all means, add that to this too. Now I'm going to crust this in Za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern spice and seed mix. It's so delicious. Yes, you can buy it already made or make it yourself, because a lot of these ingredients you'll probably have in your pantry, including sesame seeds. So they go into a mortar and pestle. And if you like, you can blend this in a small food processor along with some dried oregano. No fresh herbs for this. It's all about the dried herbs because it's got an intense flavour. Some thyme, so dried thyme, and some sumac, so quite a lot of sumac. I love sumac. It's got this really nice, almost tomatoey, lemony flavour, and you can get that from all your supermarkets now. So I use quite a lot of that. Now, everyone has their own variety of Za'atar. This one I've kept super simple with those 4 ingredients, including a really good pinch of salt. And when I say a really good pinch, 2 big pinches, because it does need to season our whole big piece of lamb over there. Also, some freshly cracked pepper. And by just grinding and allowing all of those flavours to combine, it's just going to taste better as opposed to just mixing it in a bowl. So just work that for a moment. It's starting to smell really good. And that's ready to go. And now to crust the lamb. So a little oil, splash of extra virgin olive oil. I don't want too much because the fat will definitely come out of the lamb as it cooks long and slow. Turn it over. And I have brought this lamb out of the fridge an hour ago. You don't want to be freezing cold as it goes into the oven because it's just going to take so much longer to cook. So bring it to room temperature and it will cook nice and evenly that way. So we'll just sprinkle on the Za'atar. Oh, it smells so good. And I add more to the top than to the base because we're going to cook this twice. Firstly for a couple of hours on a low temperature, and then I'll turn the oven up to get a lovely crisp topping. So we'll add that now. Fantastic. 1 onion, and you just want to cut it into chunky wedges. And I just love onions when they're slowly cooked. They become really sweet. So we'll just scatter them on the base. It's also going to act as a little trivet for our lamb. Okay, on with our lamb. Now, the key to a really juicy, tender lamb shoulder is the liquid. So some stock. I'm using just some chicken stock. You could use lamb or beef if you like. You'll need about 800 mils, and we'll just pour that in. And I don't want any of the liquid to go on top of the lamb shoulder. Okay. We'll pop this into the oven now, 160 degrees. It's going to take about 2.5 to 3 hours, or even longer depending on how big your lamb shoulder is. Okay, the lamb is looking fantastic. I've just increased the heat of the oven to 200 degrees. I've removed the foil and I've just allowed it to cook for another 20 to 30 minutes until we get a nice crust. In the meantime, we can get on with our garnishes. So some really ripe tomatoes, and I'm going to cut them in half. And I just want to take the seeds out and start grating it. This is something that I learnt in Morocco, and the flavour of grated fresh tomato is so nice with a fatty cut of meat like lamb. It just gives this really nice acidity and freshness. So I'll take the seeds out because they're too watery. And then just on a box grater like this, we're going to grate the tomatoes. Now, the riper they are, the tastier it's going to be. And you only need a few tablespoons of this tomato, and this is going to be served with a labneh. Now, labneh is just a strained yogurt. It almost becomes cheese-like. Okay, this is plenty. I've also got some onions here. These are just red onions. I've added a pinch of salt to them, and just for some extra acidity, just some fresh lemon too. Time to take the lamb out of the oven. Oh, it smells so good. And it's got a lovely golden crust, and that's exactly what I was aiming for. And I'll get a platter, something quite festive like this one, and we'll start with the labneh. We'll add a generous amount onto our platter and just spread it out because I want this to be the bed for the lamb to sit on so all of those flavours can easily mingle. It also looks fantastic. Just make a little nest in the middle for the lamb. Our tomato, I just want to season it with a little bit of salt and some really good quality extra virgin olive oil. Mix that together. And we'll just spoon this in and around the white labneh. Oh, look at that, it's so good. Now for the lamb. Now it's going to be so soft, so be really careful when you take it out of the juices and don't waste any of this stock. You can allow it to cool completely, skim off the fat afterwards and then put it into a soup or make a sauce out of it. So we'll just transfer that over to our platter. Look at that, so good. And I think when you're serving slow cooked food, you really want to make an impression. You really want to brighten it up. So that's why it's a good idea to add onions over the top. And again, just allowing it to fall down. So you've got a pop of purple and some herbs. I love my herbs, so you can use one herb or a few of them. Some fresh mint to really echo the mint that we've added to the za'atar. Some parsley. You can just drop over the top. And this served with some flatbread, maybe some of your favourite sides, is the ultimate dish to serve when you're feeding a crowd. My friends absolutely love this recipe from the book. They not only come to my house for this now, they're also making it for their friends and families. That's how good it is.